Caught in wars along too many borders, against warlords willing to sacrifice anything to win, Nariko is forced to adopt the same stance herself to see any chance of it ending well. She gathers her forces at Kyushu, the center of the Oda clan's administration, where a huge army awaits a decisive battle in defense of the city. Her troops can only wait for the moment when their increasingly distant master orders them into the deadly samurai lair. Holding up okay? Yes. The negative yes. I think no would have been a perfectly acceptable answer. I'm fine. To them, perhaps, but it's been far too long for me. If it will cheer you up, I might die today. Yoshio-kun, stop it. Apologies. I'll admit this is rather gloomy. Empress Nariko's starting to get the hang of all this, but perhaps that means her reputation for keeping her troops alive is going to be soiled. She does not have a choice. Living with that will test her. No doubt. That is the power of imperial blood, they say. They can be above it all, even a girl like her who started at the bottom. Did I tell you about the stories my mother used to tell about Nariko? What stories? Just can't get you to say no today, can I? Nothing much, anyway. But she used to talk about the Empress, Masako as it was then, having a daughter named Nariko. I think Lord Miyoshi had heard these rumours too, but I thought best not to stir him up anymore. It was meant to be a secret, apparently. The death of the Emperor spoiled their big reveal. But some maid found out, and then she became my father's maid after the fighting, and then... Wait, I'm being rather rude. That maid was your mother, wasn't it? Godmother, yes. And I do know that story. Of course. Sorry about that. As I was saying it, I was getting confused about why you're always around when I thought of her. Where did she get to in the end? She's maid to Kogo Masako. Oh wow, she's moved up from my father then. He did say she was very good. And you've done one better. Mother to mother, daughter to daughter. How funny. She isn't my real mother. She's dead. I know, but it's not like it matters, does it? Sorry. Was she a relative, though? No, she was forced to adopt me. Forced? By imperial edict. Some minor magistrate took pity on me after my parents died. Didn't want me to become an orphan. How strange, but kind indeed. Perhaps not from your new mother's point of view, but she doesn't seem to be against it to me. I can't believe she actually told you, come to think of it. She doesn't know that I know. She kept the edict, and I found it. Oh dear, Nagako. The quiet ones are the sneakiest ones, it's very true. Something tells me you'll be fine, no matter what happens today. Thank you. You don't happen to know how she found out about Nariko in the first place, do you? It's time to go. Hello and welcome back to Narikos Treasure, where it's time for a decisive assault on Kyushu Castle. We've got hundreds of troops, but so have the defenders, and they also have their defenders' advantage. This will make this battle difficult at every turn as we have to storm through the castle's defences. The first objective to get across this bridge and take a courtyard, which is surrounded on three sides by galleries full of ranged troops who will be throwing arrows, shot, and anything they can down to stop our troops from getting inside. I'm trying to assemble my archers to return fire from a relatively safe position just outside the courtyard, but I don't think it's being very effective. Our troops under heavy pressure as they just run across the middle. All they can do is run towards the gate on the other side and try and break it open. That's the only way out of the courtyard, and they're going to be under fire the entire time. So we're going to try and get Nariko to help out a little bit with her sharpshooting, because while those troops in the galleries are focusing on our melee troops rushing in there, we can of course snipe them down without too much threat of actually being fired back at. most of the enemy's ranged troops were in that gallery just up to my right now, so I'm going to hide in this corner where they won't really be able to see me. Now I can pop out and just look for targets very quickly and then disappear again to make sure we're not going to be under heavy fire while we do this. But this isn't going to work forever. We do need to advance up. So I advance to the other side of the courtyard, and now just doing it the dangerous way, moving side to side to avoid enemy returning fire and taking out enemies. The only safe place now is inside this gatehouse deeper into the castle, where our melee troops are fighting with the enemy's melee troops at the top of the stairs. I'm going to wait down here and try and get some reinforcements up, because there aren't many allies at the top of the stairs, and reinforcements will eventually come into the castle on our side to bolster our forces. Meanwhile, I advanced up, missed that shot somehow, and now I'm going to use the pike to try and slightly help out in this melee without getting too close to it, because there are so many enemies I could very easily get drawn in and defeated. The pike's able to do a bit of damage, but the enemy are pretty diligent about blocking my strikes, so it's not going to be very effective. The main damage it does is actually just distracting them so my other troops can fight them. But we actually run out of troops at this stage, so the reinforcements now need to pour in. They arrived just as all of the rest of our troops were defeated, so they kept the battle going but didn't confer us any advantage through their arrival. So they did manage to push through and defeat the enemies at the top of the stairs, so I'm going to come up and survey the damage. We can see dead enemy bodies everywhere, this hired warrior just hiding in the corner. So now we have to advance across another courtyard where enemies inside the Tenshu up there are sniping out of the windows with guns and bows, going to be cutting our troops down as we run in these big blocks towards the next bridge on the other side of this little courtyard. That bridge is the one that goes to the gate, which enemies can attack through as well, so it's particularly hard to take because we'll be taking casualties the whole time they're damaging the gate. They've also got this gallery of troops which can fire across the moat into the sides of our lines. A very nice position for the enemy. So once again, all the advantages are on their side. The only good part of this is that now that our troops are all kind of bunched up on the bridge, they're slightly out of line of sight of both the Tenshu's troops and the ones in the gallery, so we'll take fewer losses just because we don't have enough troops to make this assault in full force. So we saw that Nariko ran out of ammo, was able to pick up some ammo from one of the fallen hired gunners, probably one of our allies' troops, and now she can continue up to observe what's going on. About halfway across the bridge we just kind of get stuck because there are so many troops here. But we still, of course, can snipe people in the galleries and in the Tenshu in the distance, and that will help clear out the path for our reinforcements, which are coming in again. Another wave going to come and join us. We have pretty much taken all of the outer defences, and now our troops are apparently, we can't really see it, but they're supposedly hacking through troops just in front of us. So there are enemy melee troops standing behind the gate, and there's just some sort of brawlish melee going on just in front of us. So Nariko, not really able to take part in that, will just have to snipe at the enemy's very, very distant skirmishers, able to get some cheeky hits here through these windows. They're actually not posing too much of a threat, the troops inside the Tenshu right now, because they can't really see most of our army, but as our reinforcement wave comes in, they probably will start taking some shots at us. So here are those reinforcements who now come in front of us, and these are the last of our troops at this stage. And I'm looking at the numbers left, noting that the enemy actually have a numerical advantage at this point in the battle, which is exactly what you don't need in a castle assault. So now this is going to be very dangerous. Our men need to kind of steamroll whatever's in front of them, which we still can't really see, and get into the open space inside the courtyard, where then we can storm into the Tenshu. And once we're inside, we'll be fighting most enemies one or two at a time with our whole army. So it'll be easy to actually defeat large numbers of enemy troops if we can get into their defenses. But while we're still fighting in the open in a big brawl, numbers offer a real advantage, and we're starting to lose out in that respect. I'm starting to move back myself as I realise we're probably going to have to order a retreat, which tends to work better if you're further away from the enemy's forces. We've defeated almost all of the enemy inside the castle, with the loss of almost everything on our side too, and we just don't quite have enough left to take it out. And then Mari gets hit, and that seals the deal.
Well, that definitely went through. Mari, that's it. Can you walk? Well, probably, but I'd rather not. Nariko, take Mari back and sound the drum while you're there. Majesty? Yoshio, get them to ease off and come back to the outer gate, and get the men who have fought already to help the wounded get out. Careful, little mouse. I'm a bit fragile. Heavy.
Leave her here, Nariko. I'll take the mad woman out in a moment, once I've delivered Her Majesty's orders.
Oh, don't fight over me. Can't you just leave me to die here?
Sorry.
I'm joking, you... Be careful. This is bad. What are we going to do? Leave? Most of our troops walked out of here alive, at least. I expected worse. but I think the troops expected better. This could be the end. Your Majesty... Don't say anything, Nariko. Fine, okay? I'll be a samurai warlord. Look, I don't care about my troops. As long as I get out alive, things will be fine.
That's the spirit, Your Majesty. Come on then, let's go. The enemy are falling back too. Lost a good deal more than we did by my count. In fact, I think this battle isn't lost by a long shot. We got out of the fight without any further casualties, but the casualties were already pretty high. It looks kind of bad here, but ultimately we lost about 20% of our total force, because most of it was only wounded rather than being killed, so they will return to service over the next few days, in-game days. Whereas the Oda forces took something more like 90% casualties. Their army was completely annihilated in that fight, lots dead, so they'll be left with very few troops actually defending the settlement, meaning that once our wounds are treated, we can still exploit that weakness. We actually lost enough troops there that, as you can see, a band of simply 8 monk rebels decides they want to come and engage our army. Our grand field army is now only 23 men, down from the hundreds and hundreds, nearly 600 we had before, but 8 men is not enough to stop us even here. Nariko herself could probably defeat 8 men, and with the help of a few companions and troops, this is not going to be any trouble. I took the opportunity to vent my anger for the results of the previous battle by simply annihilating most of these troops myself before our party could really get involved. We certainly don't want to be losing more party members at this stage, and it goes absolutely perfectly. So now we do need to withdraw from Kyushu. We need to get to safety. While our parties are so small like this, we could be attacked by a larger band of rebels and actually be defeated, or even spotted by some Oda or Asakura forces roaming around the place. So we need to get back to somewhere where they can't attack us, and we can basically just go and sit inside one of our own castles, because once we're waiting inside, the enemy will have to besiege it if they want to fight us, and the amount of time that a siege takes is easily enough to get the vast majority of our troops back, so it's perfectly safe to do this. And all of the other lords have the same idea, even without giving them orders. They all rush towards Nagashima Fortress, where we can hide out for a couple of days. We go from having something like 6 troops in Nariko's party to more like 120 over those couple of days, and we also hired in a few more extra peasants from around Nagashima to bolster those numbers a little. So we went out for a quick battle with a passing Oda lord to get our party back into the swing of things, and this lord did a very interesting tactic which happens very rarely, which is he actually just stood there and tried to skirmish with us. He didn't advance towards us at all, so this time it's going to be us playing the part of the AI and charging across the battlefield to try and find the enemy. We have a big advantage, so we're bound to win. I tried this grand cavalry charge, and then Nariko messes it up by walking into a tree accidentally, but still it's just as effective as it needs to be. We destroy one part of the enemy's force, and the other part, which seems to be separated over here, is now going to be vulnerable to our frontal charge from the infantry, but the cavalry are a bit too effective. They cut through the first group and slash into this second group before the rest of my army actually arrives. Not really a huge problem, because with our heavy armor and maneuverability, we're going to be able to cut through these forces, who are mostly just Ashigaru. The enemy has very few heavy troops among their ranks, and soon as our infantry arrive, we're going to be clearing this up. Easy peasy, so a nice victory to slightly improve troop morale, hopefully, after the costly battle at Kyushu last time. So I arrived at Kyushu, and I was just inspecting the garrison here, and I saw that lots of enemy lords were inside, and I thought maybe if we wait outside, some of them might come out to go and do something, and we can just immediately take them on, because we want to fight as much of the Oda army in the field as possible, because that's going to be so much easier. We chase one Oda officer off there, and the Tokugawa start going after him, so that's one taken care of before he can sneak into the garrison. The problem was basically they didn't come out at all, and while I was waiting, I heard word that the Asakura were doing something in our own territory, and soon enough we get an actual report that they're attacking Kamioka again, raiding our westernmost village here. So it's strange they go so deep into our territory to make their attacks, but that's their choice. It actually helps us out a bit, gives us lots of time to respond. So we push in, and we do indeed see an Asakura army doing the raiding. It runs from us, but we're able to catch up with it. They've got something like 80 troops, and we're going to be coming in with about double that number, so nothing too taxing here. We'll just try and take this army down. You can see they advanced in a very scrappy formation towards us, almost coming in single file in the centre there, which is going to make it nice and easy for my cavalry attack to take them out. You can see I hid my cavalry behind this hill just off to the right, and as they charge down, that single file will give them a nice broad target to slash into. So we annihilate their infantry. The rest of the army now surges forwards. They've still got their skirmishers on the hill back there, who are the only ones really fighting now, but they won't last long as we just push through and destroy the army, and most of it's going to be routing at this point anyway. The battle ends, we only lost one troop and took out the entire enemy force, of course. So now we can head back to the battlefront at Kyushu, hopefully having not lost too much time, and start a siege. I decided to just find one of my allied lords who still had some troops and come in to do this siege right away rather than waiting to defeat any of the garrison later on. And we actually have some agents in our army who are able to sneak into the castle and open the gates. It's just as effective as sieging it, so it's basically the same. So let's prepare for the fight. You can argue all day about Our Lady's virtue, but what does it matter if she is a puppet?
Enough of this about her being a puppet. What evidence do you have for this?
It's the appearance of Kogo Masako, not evidence enough.
It doesn't matter. It seriously doesn't matter. Both are as bad as each other.
Nariko is as bad as Masako. She won't kill in cold blood though, will she? She won't start ordering murders on her own family members, will she? You've lost it.
She will. I tell you she will, because look at what she's doing right now. Throwing men's lives away for her own gain. Men who trusted us to have chosen a suitable liege. It's just the start. She will mature into her mother's ruthlessness without doubt. If you're worried about losing the faith of your troops, then perhaps stop being so paranoid. What difference is there between your old liege and our majesty? I say nothing, but for the knowledge that the heavens are on our side.
But what do the heavens say of her mother?
That those chosen to rule should do so. So who cares which one ends up on top? This is the way of things, and you are both losing your minds over marketplace gossip.
You speak so confidently. I want to believe you, Kageda. I want to believe that your reasoning is not in any way affected by your sudden rise in status.
No more of this. That is a separate matter.
You could barely afford a full complement of servants, and now you're suddenly lord of a whole province by almost no merit of your own. You're in the lady's pocket, you are.
Nonsense. I am merely the most able and deserving of such rewards.
Incredible. That's the most inane thing I've heard so far. So let us discount the words of this paid crier henceforth.
Hear, hear. Jealous fools. All I need to do is inform our majesty of your squabbling, and your lands will be mine as well.
Then you will enjoy seeing those lands drained of all life in service of a reviled hag and the daughter who did not even escape the shadow of the tree. This time our assault on Kyushu should be much more favourable. We outnumber the enemy heavily, but with the choice to use the agents rather than siege sappers to open the gates, it seems that it actually leaves the external gates closed. The agents open internal gates, so we get stuck right away, right outside this gate, and the enemy are going to be sniping us as we stand on this bridge. Nariko taking a hit early on, able to snipe back of course though, so we just have to wait to get in. It's not the worst place to wait because at least we're not inside the courtyard yet where the enemy will be shooting us from all sides. Their own walls kind of protect us here. So finally the gates are opened. There seem to be enemy melee troops just inside the gate there, so our troops will start to fight with them while Nariko snipes off more of the ranged troops. All our own ranged troops are back outside the castle trying to provide some form of suppressing fire. We managed to break in, doing a lot of damage both to the melee and ranged troops, which we'll continue to do, but the second gate is closed as well, so now we have to wait here for a bit. That gate's quickly opened and we'll storm even further in. I brought in the ranged troops from outside to now come and stand up inside this courtyard where they can shoot all the guys in these galleries at pretty close range and we'll take them out. The enemy have a little bit of a cover advantage because of the angle, but it's not going to do all that much. Unfortunately, while considering what to do with them next, Nariko gets hit in the side by an arrow there and is wounded, falling down, so now she won't be able to take part in the rest of the fight. Our troops though should be enough. They start storming through the castle. You can see there's a few more enemy defenders here able to shoot them as they cross this dodgy bridge moat situation, but the internal gate is open thanks to those agents, and there are actually no melee defenders here, so our troops just need to charge through and be able to run towards those ranged guys and take them out. The enemy do still have lots of ranged guys also up here inside the castle Tenshu, where they have a pretty good view. You can use this opportunity to actually see it from their perspective. They can see us swarm it across their courtyards right there. So they'll have the opportunity to fire at us, but that opportunity is going to be as short as it can be. Our troops are storming towards them. Meanwhile, our ranged troops trying to take them out in this long-range battle, but the enemy's cover, by the looks of things, proving pretty effective. We've taken out a couple of them, but not quite enough of a good situation for us to take them all out at range. We will need the melee guys to go inside the Tenshu and start hacking the defenders down, which will do with ease because they're just going in mobs and taking out all these single defenders at the windows. Easy peasy. So there we're capturing the sub-Tenshu. This castle has 2 Tenshus, a sort of smaller castle, which you have to break through to get into the larger castle. Our troops now advance towards that larger castle, but there's only a few enemies inside, so we just swarm into the final room, where there was a handful of Oda troops putting up a defense, but not going to do them any good. We're able to storm into this room from 2 sides actually, so our troops just advancing everywhere, taking down single defenders along the way. That's going to pretty much finish off that Oda army inside the castle. The castle will be captured. The battle is won. I noticed Nariko actually leading the charge apparently with her dagger. Surprisingly brave, but perhaps she wanted to avenge the wounds inflicted against Nariko. So there we have it, the castle finally captured after all those losses. Let's take a look at the actual results. This time much better. We lost 13 men from Nariko's party and only about 35 wounded, and only 2 lost among all of our allied troops. We didn't bring that many allies this time after all. The enemy losing about 100 troops. Overall, a superb exchange, even if it was just a field battle, but to capture a capital, that is also a very, very nice exchange. So we're going to take on a load of prisoners to enhance the strength of our army, and we'll be giving this town over to Lord Matsunaga because he doesn't really have any proper core territory for himself, and we want to try and spread our territory out between the lords to reduce the extent to which they will bicker with each other, although it doesn't really work like that. There's still going to be a lot of animosity going on. But anyway, that's the Oda capital taken. Oda now, of course, in huge trouble as a result of that. We'll have to put some troops in the garrison because Nariko's party is too big now. We might as well enhance the defences of our new territory. So I'll throw a few guys in there and they will go over to the control of Lord Matsunaga. But then immediately after that battle, I was moving north and Oda just captured Komaki Castle from Tokugawa. So they've saved themselves from being territoryless at the last second there, but while they're still fighting with the Tokugawa field armies outside, Nariko can just swoop in because Komaki is now fair game because it's controlled by her enemy. So we're effectively stealing this castle from the Tokugawa here. We're just going to storm in. The Oda have basically no forces inside, and it looks like the Tokugawa are just clearing them up here. So that is all good news for us. We're about to gain a basically free territory without having to declare war on one of the major factions. Plus we get this interesting message. The Satake clan don't want to be at war with us anymore. They never did anything, but perhaps the capturing of Kyushu made them realise that this is not a trifling matter to be at war with the Empress, so they call it off. Now this battle for the castle is pretty much over right away. We just storm in. There was only 30 or so enemy defenders inside and there wasn't much they could do, except this guy who put up a very stalwart defence standing on this beam and was able to hold up my whole army for quite a long time until Nariko came in to sort that out. So the battle comes to an end. We didn't lose any troops killed, the enemy losing a handful, and of course losing the castle. We're going to have to give this castle over to Lord Matsunaga as well, just because his core territory is now going to be around Kyushu. So we want it to be ruled by someone who's nearby and is likely to come and bother defending it if it was to come under attack. So that is all good news, and with that, the Oda clan are now completely defeated. We have all of their territory, their field armies are gone, there's nothing they can do. None of them. A few Hatamoto is the best we've got. From what I can gather, the Oda lords have either disappeared into the hills or have been taken captive by the Tokugawa. Well, that's a shame. Indeed, I'm sure many of them would have agreed to join us in return for a portion of their old fiefs. They may have been led by a fool, but the Oda vassals were rather well regarded as leaders.
Conch, are you losing your mind?
I hope not. What's this about then?
She was trying to ask about one Oda lord in particular. Don't you remember what I told you?
Oh right, yes. I thought it was a joke.
It was a joke, whatever it was. She hasn't seen him without a helmet on, though. She'll be very disappointed. What's that meant to mean?
He's a little older than his face suggests, Your Majesty.
Where did you come from? Can you all just leave me alone?
Certainly, but one thing first, Your Majesty. Word has it that Kogo Masako has returned from her official visit to Kesagayama. And what came of it? Not sure. I think she's saving whatever little deal the Uesugi want for you personally. We'll need to gather the court to discuss it anyway.
Ooh, back to Kyoto then. Sleeping in a castle is nice and all, but a palace, well, you just can't go back.
Yes, I think I agree.
And if you really don't want to sleep alone, I'm sure we could make arrangements. I mean, you're the Empress and all. Surely someone would want to... Her Majesty grows tired of your mockery, Lady Mary.
Oh, she is good.
There! Little weasel! Your hands taste weird.
Because I clean them. Ouch. I feel obliged to lead you out of this little fight, darling. I think you're outmatched. The Oda are gone, but of course we still have to worry about the Asakura forces, who are the stronger clan at this point. And there was in fact an Asakura army just outside Kyushu with Lord Shima. Shima was quite polite to us. He was happy about the way we treated him in the past, so was basically expressing that he did like Nariko, but knew that he was forced to fight her out of obligation to his own lord. And we're going to be quite happy to take a fight here because we have a big advantage. Nariko cuts down a cavalryman riding ahead of their army, then Shima himself comes up, swinging this massive Nodaichi sword. Yoshio and Kijiro come out to distract him, while Nariko comes in to strike the killing blow there, unhorsing Shima, and now we can just go back to our own ranks, having started this battle off very nicely. The forces following far behind will come into view over that hill, where our skirmishers will start to attack them. And really all I did in this battle was just charge the entire army forwards once the enemy got close, and they actually just turned around and started running the moment we advanced against them, so they didn't really want to take this fight, and many of them will be taken out as they attempt to escape the superior mobility of our forces. So that's another Asakura army that we don't have to worry about for now. Immediately after that I started moving north. I was hoping to move over to Kanazawa to check out how that territory was doing nowadays, and we get the news that the Oda clan has officially been defeated, so that is nice. But then we get this news: the Uesugi clan has suddenly declared war on us out of absolutely nowhere, and we actually now do border the Uesugi quite a lot. Taking this Oda territory earns us new borders around the Mino province, where you can see they have this crescent-shaped set of territory basically north of that river from which they can attack us, and they also have territory east of Kanazawa from which they can attack us, and they've been busy conquering over to the east as well. They've got the Takeda completely surrounded and are going on the offensive against the Hojo by the looks of things. Overall, it seems we're in a bit of a situation here. I decided to review the world map to see exactly what the territorial situation was. And you can see the yellow of the Uesugi and the brown of the Asakura now really heavily borders our territory. Some of our territories totally surrounded by enemy fiefs here. So this is not going to be good. The Uesugi appear to be the most powerful clan in the land, and now they're at war with us. Cutting apart the expectations of the samurai lords, the imperial forces crushed the Oda clan with minimal losses and kept the Asakura at bay. Without a doubt, Nariko had now shown that her authority was not only derived from spiritual or legal tradition, but from military power, the same mandate that the samurai had ruled by for centuries. For any lord uncomfortable with the growing imperial fiefdom, this was a wake-up call. There was no guarantee that Nariko could be stopped by traditional means, and the longer they waited, the slimmer their chances became. Lords would have to take a side then, and fight for an empress or for a shogun. The mighty Uesugi were the first to make their decision clear. So that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see how things unfold as the biggest military in Japan comes to pay us a visit in the next episode of Nariko's Treasure.